Hello everyone, and welcome to part 2 of this series on what is working capital. In part 1, we explored how working capital is the difference between current assets and current liabilities. Equity is where wealth is stored at the end of the day, what you own and what you can get out of it. This involves items such as the herd and its productivity, land and its productivity, equipment, etc. Of course, depreciation of items such as equipment must be considered as part of the equation as well. Replacement of assets is a big issue that is not regularly discussed. So let's explore an example. Matt had a lot of money after a good year. He pays for a sprayer with cash and purchases it outright, meaning he owes zero money on his sprayer. But at some point he will have to buy a new one, so he has to account for that cost. If he has no good cash flow and he's living on everything he's making without setting money aside, he will have to borrow money to replace that sprayer. By doing so, it digs into liability and impacts what he owns versus what he owes, therefore negatively impacting his equity. Having a low working capital can be detrimental to an operation because it requires a high burn rate of equity to cover expenses. So what role does profit play? If I have profit, that means I have excess cash, a safety net or reserve. Profit really equals the ability to do. As usual, management decisions related to inflow and outflow of cash or working capital should revolve around overall profitability. In other words, will my investment of my working capital yield me a relative increase in profitability? For example, if I use my working capital to cover an increase in my living expenses, then it is gone in a sense because there's no return on that, and therefore it is an outgo, not an ingo, and does not assist me in resiliency. But if I take my working capital and reinvest in the business, let's say I purchase land outright, now I don't owe anything on the land and I have a productive resource that is giving me more than before, so it is a proper investment. A third and final example of the complexities of how best to invest working capital. If I bring someone onto the operation and spend my excess cash on their salary, this will only be a good investment of my working capital if my employee contributes to a higher rate of productivity and therefore directly increases my profitability, requiring at a minimum an offset of my investment to their wages. If I bring an employee into the operation that does not increase productivity, then that is an outflow of equity and reduces my ownership position in the business as well as the overall strength of the business, and is a good reminder to be careful when deciding what to do with available resources. Here is a quick review of all vocab covered in both parts of the What is Working Capital series. If you missed part 1, please be sure to give that a watch. As always, you can find more content like this on our site at farmsense.unl.edu, as well as our Twitter at farmsense_UNL. Thanks for watching!